We start off number 1 third baseman for the STS model in 2024 was Matt Shaw. STS has Shaw for a peak projection of a 125.5 WRC plus, batting average at 274, on base percentage 347, a slug of 474, 24 home runs, 20 stolen bases. Now, Doc, I just took him 3rd overall in the categories prospect only mock draft that you and I did with CBS, to some chagrin of other members of this draft. But I love the stolen bases at 3rd. I love the power. I love the average. I think what you get from Shaw is very hard to find at 3rd base. What are your overall thoughts of Shaw?
So first of all, I saw that pick. This is the Scott White, Chris Towers, CBS mock draft. They put those on every offseason. And you went number 3 overall for prospects for the prospect draft. And I just couldn't help but wonder if you would have done that if it was a real draft. Ask yourself the honest truth. Would you have gone Matt Shaw there?
In categories, yes.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never seen that.
Because for me, I'll talk you through the logic just because I did think about it, right? Shots at 3rd base or even 2nd base, depending on what happens with Horner over, let's just say, the next 5 years, right? You got to, maybe he moves. I'm looking at him right now, though, as a 3rd baseman to get 20 stolen bases potentially from Shaw, which I think we get for 3, maybe 4 years, is a lot harder to find than what I get out of Dylan Cruz or Jason Dominguez with the risk involved with both of those. I know Cruz is a floor player, right? But I don't like the team context as much. I feel more comfortable being able to find what Cruz gives me in the outfield than I find comfortable what Shaw gives me at 3rd. And lastly, with Shaw, it's a much more shallow position from a prospect perspective. As some of these names we're going to talk about today, I mean, number 4 alone is where like we see this massive drop off. But out of all of these guys, Shaw is really the only real 3rd baseman that will steal you more than 10 bases projectably at the major league level, other than Luke Adams. And Luke Adams is light years away from where Shaw is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the scarcity standpoint. It's never been a better time to, like, if you're doing a startup, it's never been a better time to go ahead and bite the bullet and take a ride on the Brock Wilken Express, because after Brock Wilken, it gets real dark. If you think that last year was rough, yeah, there's not a whole lot of upside after that. Matt Shaw, this guy, he's kind of like your all-around guy. That's why I think myself and other people are like, really? And I think you could probably agree that his upside is a little capped, just being 5'9", 185, not particularly explosive as an athlete, just kind of a ball player. I think he's a classic ball player, so I do like him. And I see what you're going for here. If I had to put some rain on the parade, I'm seeing, this is what I've been doing lately, right? I've been calling out caught stealing. So AAA, 6 steals, 3 caught stealing. And if you're seeing the overall numbers, it's 31-11, which is still like a little bit too much, too many times getting caught. But 25 of those stolen bases were at AA. So if those stolen bases dry up, what are we looking at, right? Like if he's more of like a 10 stolen base guy, 20 home runs, what kind of upside is that? Maybe it's 30. I don't know if he's a 30 home run guy. I think what we want him to be is like 20 to 25 home runs, 20 stolen bases. But again, I think people are thinking 25 stolen bases. If he's getting caught like that, it's not going to happen. His ratio should be great. He makes a lot of great contact. He makes a lot of contact. And so his average will be high enough. I think more like a 270 kind of guy. Seems like he's really able to take a walk. So should just be, again, an all-around grinder at a scarce position. So I like him as a prospect, but for me, there's just guys who I see a little bit more upside.
Well, I think that's the hardest part about when you really look at, because for me, Matt Shaw and Dylan Cruz, I think Dylan Cruz might have marginally better numbers. I think Dylan Cruz can be guaranteed 20 stolen bases.
What was the risk that you didn't actually specify? What was the risk with Jason Dominguez? Because I heard a good case recently for Jason.
I don't know that Jason Dominguez is a 250 hitter at the major league level, and if you can't hit me 250, I I'm not. Why are you being taken in the first round? Is my opinion. Or let me rephrase that. Why are you being taken in the first 10 picks? We've seen the power played at the major league level, right? In both years, before the Tommy John surgery that he had in 2023, and then when he came back last year in 2024. But last year we started to really see that hit tool and him being overpowered. And I haven't seen the underlying like zone contact and chase rates that he's had throughout the minor leagues, but I just do not believe he can be a conservative, consistent 280, 270 hitter at the major league level. And I absolutely think the speed is going to fall off sooner than later. He's already gotten bigger as he's, grown into his early 20s. So if I think speed's going to fall off, let's say quicker than Matt Shaw or Dylan Cruz, I'm already concerned about an average, which I'm not necessarily concerned with Matt Shaw and Dylan Cruz. You've got two pieces that now I can't take you over Matt Shaw and Dylan Cruz. And then you get to position scarcity. I can find a Jason Dominguez. I can't find a Matt Shaw. It's hard to find Dylan Cruz. There's a reason he's ranked where he is. But every FYPD, there is a top tier outfielder out there. This past year, Cam Smith was arguably the top third baseman. And Cam Smith isn't going to steal you more than 3 to 5 bases, maybe any season he plays. So really, for me, it was Cruz, it was Shaw. I think they're going to have similar careers. I do think Cruz probably steals a little bit more, and Cruz probably has a better power prime, but he plays outfield. A lot of outfielders.
I think your best argument is the scarcity. It's like Shaw, Mayo, I'd say Wilkin, and then it's like there's a cliff. I mean, there's even like a pretty big jump I have to acknowledge from Mayo to Wilkin in terms of how last year went.
For me, Cam Smith would fall just above.
Yeah, sorry, my
Wilkin.
apologies. My apologies. Yeah, so Cam Smith would be, he is above Wilkin on my rankings.
Yeah. But that's a big jump, right? Like,
but regardless, we're talking about like a handful of prospects out of the entire minor leagues, entire minor leagues. I would say, just because Jason Dominguez, he brought up his zone and contact in the MLB last year, and when he came up, they were actually really good. 87 zone, that's 78 good. Contact, and I would say that you were onto something with the sprint speed that was looking like it was only 64th percentile. Again, as he gets older, what's that look like? So I think that's I think the scarcity and will he steal bases is a good argument. I think the power is going to play. I think
the power plays. I think. I mean, it's hard.
Does it change your mind if Matt Shaw doesn't steal more than 12 bases in his career in a single season?
I just don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to be a guy that steals 20 bases over every year for 10 years. But I think he's a guy that will get 20 bases over his first 3 seasons. If he plays, let's say 140 games, I think he gets 20 stolen bases. Craig Counsell loves to run. And having Shaw, having Horner, those are going to be guys that, push that agenda. Like, you have to think about Craig Counsell coming over from Milwaukee. They hired him to be the same manager with a bigger payroll. He is going to continue to do what made him successful, right? Put runners in scoring position, get those runs in. Yes, Kyle Tucker is going to hit home runs. You're going to have more success from some bigger bats, but Counsell's going to allow Shaw to run until Shaw tells him, "Hey, I this isn't a skill set of mine." I think it's a really good point you brought up. 6 stolen bases, 3 caught stealing. My argument to that would be, only without seeing these games, it's later in the season, definitely better competition, right? There are adjustments on both sides that have to be made. But if you were to tell me that Matt Shaw will never steal more than 12 bases in a season, yes, I take Dylan Cruz there.